Well, today we're in a townland called Cheshire Moor, and we've got this massive area of hazel that's become established and it's slowly spreading out across the landscape. When we talk about scrub removal in the Burren programme, it's not scrub removal for the sake of scrub removal. What we're trying to do is actually protect these species-rich calcareous grasslands and pastures. And the reasons we need to do that is that these are a really, really rare habitat, both at a national level and a European level. And because of the rarity, they were designated to protect them. But designations on their own will not protect a habitat. So you actually have to actively manage them as well. So where you've got a calcareous grassland, if you've got a lot of hazel around it, and it's predominantly hazel scrub in the Burren, there's a little bit of blackthorn, briars and a few other types in some areas, but predominantly hazel. The hazel is slowly moving forward and taking over those grasslands. Here in the Burren, we've got one of the greatest areas of species-rich grasslands. The Burren's acting as a reservoir. If we lose these grasslands, not only do we lose the plant communities, but we lose all the rare butterflies that have become so reduced and disappeared from the great wider European and Irish landscape. We also lose a lot of bumblebees, all dependent on these extensive grassland areas. But of course, a grassland isn't really a natural habitat in a lot of places. It's an anthropomorphic. It requires management. And here, if we want to protect these grassland habitats, we do need to manage the hazel. One of the things about doing any sort of scrub control, particularly hazel scrub control, is you don't just do it once. You have to go back. It will keep coming in. And despite this field having been cleared before, we can see you've got a little hazel seedling coming up here now, and that's going to keep happening. This hazel seedling is probably at least 2 years old. You can sometimes tell by you feel down and feel the nut, but these are here. This at this time, he's investing in his root system. This is the one that could get grazed off in winter by cattle. They could come bite it off, but it's got a great root system and it's going to regrow. And that's the one that, should something happen and this field not get grazed for a number of years, this is going to rapidly grow, and once it gets above a certain height, cattle aren't going to stop grazing. The best option for dealing with this field was actually to use a machine, because we could get it in and we could do it without doing little damage. There wasn't a lot of archaeology to consider. In terms of doing it with a machine, the first year it's done, afterwards it looks awful raw. You've got all the shattered stumps, you've got bare ground, it looks a real mess. But this field was done in 2007, and as you can see, it's really regressed back. You'd never have thought that this looked like the field next door. Only back in 2007. So they will revert to good species-rich grassland. Like everything, you'll end up having to come back and do maybe a little bit of spot treatment to control regrowth or recut the regrowth. I mean, really to emphasise, the programme is not about scrub removal per se. The mature scrub or well-established scrub or scrub on rocky, rough habitats that aren't grazeable, we don't want to take that out. It's a really valuable habitat in its own right, particularly in the west of Ireland. It falls into the category of Atlantic hazel woodland, which is really important for lichen communities. But it's part of the farming landscape as well. It provides stock with shelter. If you come here in the spring, this is where you've got all the summer migrant birds, willow warblers, whitethroats, that sort of thing. So it's a balancing act. Conservation is always about a balancing act. So what we want to do is maintain the hazel, and we're accepting it's still going to spread in places. We're never going to manage to control it, but we do want to try and focus and maintain these orchid-rich calcareous grasslands as well, because if we lose them, where are they? They aren't anywhere else.